Hello and welcome to the lesson. Today we are going to study the restrictions on board members' powers. The subject is meetings and the topic is board and committee meetings. Board and committee meetings. The lesson is on restrictions on board members' powers. In our last session, we studied the powers of the board. We analyzed the general management powers and the specific statutory powers of the board. Today we are going to learn that while the board of directors holds the supreme executive authority for managing a company, their power is not a blank check. Their power is restricted. And under the Companies Act, and under corporate governance principles, these powers are limited to prevent abuse and also to protect the stakeholders. Now, in studying the restrictions on board powers, we are going to see that these powers are generally categorized into three. They generally fall into three categories. Number one is the statutory restrictions. Number two is what we call the constitutional restrictions. Then there is number three, the fiduciary and general duties. So therefore, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to discuss and analyze the restrictions on board members' powers. So let's begin with the statutory restrictions. Statutory means the law. The law. Statutory. One, there is statutory restrictions. These are restrictions as laid down by statutes, particularly the Companies Act, which explicitly limits what directors can do without involving shareholders or following strict procedures. The first one is the first restriction is substantial property transactions. Substantial property transactions. Substantial property transactions. Substantial property transactions. Directors cannot enter into a transaction to acquire from or sell to the company a substantial non-cash asset without the approval of the shareholders, without prior approval of the shareholders by resolution. That is a restriction. Directors cannot acquire or sell a substantial non-cash asset without involving the shareholders, without the shareholders approving such substantial property transaction. That is a restriction. And that is section 158 of the Companies Act. That's why we are saying it is a statutory restriction. The Companies Act restricts directors from engaging in substantial property transactions. Section 158. This is section 158. That is the first restriction. The second statutory restriction is long-term service contracts. Is in relation to long-term service contracts. What do you mean by long-term service contracts? Now, the board cannot grant a director a guaranteed term of service or employment exceeding 2 years without shareholder approval. And that is section 157 of the Companies Act. we know it is the board, okay, that appoints or uh, may try to prolong the service contracts of a director. So the board cannot grant a director a guaranteed term of employment exceeding 2 years without the approval of the board. That is a statutory restriction. The third statutory restriction is in relation to loans to directors. Loans to directors. Loans to directors. Now, generally, a company is restricted from making loans or providing security for a loan to a director or a person connected to a director unless it falls under specific exemptions, like a private company or for business expenses, and it is also approved by the members. So loans to directors are generally restricted by law. Then there is a payment, and this payment is for loss of office. There is a restriction in regard to payment for loss of office. That is to mean that any compensation for or to a director, any compensation to a director for resigning or losing their seat must be disclosed to and also approved by the shareholders. It must be approved by the shareholders. Any payment for loss of office must be approved by. So these are 4 statutory restrictions. Now let's move to constitutional restrictions. Number 2, constitutional restrictions. Constitutional restrictions, candidates, these ones are restrictions based on the Articles of Association. Here we are referring not to the country's constitution, but this is the company constitution, which is the Articles of Association. The company's Articles of Association acts as an internal rule book. And this constitution may have certain restrictions when it comes to board powers. For example, you may have matters that are reserved for shareholders, matters reserved for shareholders. The Constitution may clearly specify the matters that can only be handled by the shareholders and not the board of directors. That is a restriction. So the articles often list specific actions that only shareholders can authorize, such as changing the company's name, changing the company's name. The board of directors cannot change the company's name. That has to be done by the members. It is not just the name, but also even the objects. The reasons why the company exists, the objects can only be changed by the owners. Altering share capital. Altering share capital is a matter that is reserved for members. For example, share split or consolidation, that can only be done by the members. Amending the articles. Amending the articles can also be done only by the shareholders. Amending the Articles of Association is a matter that is reserved for the shareholders. Voluntary winding up, voluntary winding up of the company is a matter, again, that is only reserved for the shareholders. So these are matters reserved for shareholders. These are matters that are clearly stipulated in the constitution of the company. These are matters that you find in the articles of association. Then number 2, we have borrowing powers. Borrowing powers. Now, many articles set, do I call it borrowing powers? Let me be specific. Let me change this to borrowing limits. Borrowing limits. Now, many articles set a specific ceiling on how much the board can borrow on behalf of the company. And if the board wants to exceed that limit, they must seek shareholder resolution. The limit could be, say, 10 million. The board may be allowed by the articles to borrow up to 10 million Kenya shillings. If the board needs more than 10 million shillings, then that has to be approved by the board through a resolution. So these are constitutional restrictions, matters reserved for shareholders, and borrowing limits. Then the third part of our today's lesson on restrictions on board members is the fiduciary and general duties. Number 3, fiduciary and general duties. Fiduciary and general duties. Now, even where the board has the legal power to act, they are restricted by the spirit of their duties. For example, they have a duty to act within powers. They have a duty to act within powers. Duty to act within their powers. They have a duty to act within their powers. They have a duty to act within powers. Directors, candidates must only exercise power for the purpose for which they were conferred. Because using a power for a collateral purpose, for example, issuing shares only to block a takeover rather than to raise capital, is a breach of duty. That's an example. So directors have the power to act within powers. We cannot end this lesson without mentioning conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, that is section 146. If you want to read more, section 146 of the Companies Act deals with the conflict of interest, where directors are restricted from exploiting company property, exploiting company information, or even opportunities for personal gain. And any material interest in a contract must be declared, that is in accordance to section 151 of the Companies Act. Conflict of interest is a fiduciary duty. Then there is the power to exercise, or duty to exercise, independent judgment. Duty to exercise independent judgment. The directors have a duty to exercise independent judgment. Directors cannot filter their discretion by agreeing to vote in a certain way based on the instructions of a third party or a major shareholder. No, as a director, you have to exercise independent judgment. You are not to be influenced by anyone. Understand? Yes. So it should be noted, candidates, that the restrictions on board members, restriction on board members' powers can fall into three categories. Restrictions, these are statutory restrictions. We have statutory restrictions. For example, restrictions in relation to property transactions. The board cannot buy or sell non-cash items without the approval of the shareholder. That's number one. Number two, there is long-term service contracts. The board cannot extend the employment service of a director for more than 2 years without the approval of the shareholders. Then there is also restrictions on loans to directors and payment for loss of office of the directors. These are statutory restrictions. Number two, we have constitutional restrictions. These are restrictions as laid out in the company's constitution or articles of association, where we have matters that are only reserved for shareholders. The board cannot change the company's name or objects. The board cannot alter the share capital. The board cannot amend the articles. The board cannot voluntarily wind up or liquidate a company. Then under also the constitution, we have also borrowing limits. There is a threshold. The board is given power to borrow money up to a certain limit. Beyond that limit, the board has to seek the members' approval or resolution. Then we have studied the fiduciary or general duties. Number one is the duty to act within power. Number two is the conflict of interest. Then lastly, we have duty to exercise independent judgment. So in closing, candidates need to understand the voidable rule. Under Section 36 of the Companies Act, if the directors exceed their constitutional powers to enter a transaction with a director or a connected person, that transaction is voidable at the instance of the company. It is voidable at the instance of the company. And the directors that are involved must also indemnify the company for any loss that may occur as a result of that transaction. So that's the end of this lesson on restrictions on the board powers. And we began by saying that while the board of directors holds the supreme executive authority for managing a company, their powers are not absolute. No. Under the Companies Act and Standard Corporate Principles, these powers are limited, and these powers are limited for the purpose of preventing abuse and for the purpose of also protecting the stakeholders. That's the end of the lesson on restrictions on board members' powers. Bye-bye.